A small hand was holding a pearl in front of a spaceship window, comparing it to a faraway star.
It's so similar, Dad. What planet is it?
The girl asked.
I believe it's Solus, and right next to it is our home Malastare.
Father answered.
That's nowhere near Malastare, dear.
Woman piloting the ship said.
It could be.
Rick, tell her the truth, or else you think every planet is Malastare.
The father, Rick, turned his head towards the woman.
I haven't got time to read all the star charts. I've been too busy practicing the Imperial etiquette. My men will depend on me.
Rick replied without hesitation.
All for on Cobwall.
Woman jokingly replied.
It's not a big position, but it's a start. One day I'll climb the corporate ladder all the way to the big leagues, and then I will provide a better life for you, Ameline, and for Nora too, and when the baby born's for him too.
Rick replied, almost showing tears in his eyes.
I know, Rick. I was joking. It's a start. A great start.
What is that?
Nora asked as she saw a small space station from the window.
It's where Dad goes.
Ameline said. Rick fell deeper into his seat, nervously sweating.
You okay, honey?
Ameline said.
Yes, it's just that I'm not that used to being a leader.
You'll be fine.
For the first 2 months I can't leave the planet. After that I can take visitors or go on short vacations. If all goes well I'll be able to leave out a room and get more interesting posture in a few months.
Rick explained.
Don't worry about it. Just do your job well. We can wait.
Ameline said.
Thanks.
Rick answered. The monitor lit up and showed the station checking ship credentials. After a moment, green light switched on as a sign of granted entry.
This is it. Just fly me to the hangar. We'll say our goodbyes and I'll be on my way. I'll contact you on the planet side.
Rick instructed.
Yes, sir.
Ameline replied and jokingly saluted.
I could get used to that.
Rick said and smiled. The ship docked at the station and soon Rick was standing in the hangar watching his family leave. He was wearing cheap Imperial officer costume knockoff. A security droid walked next to him. Rick cleared his throat.
New commanding officer to Imperial Post 855. Name Rick.
Rick said but was interrupted.
Yes, no need for more info. Please use the small shuttle and you'll be flown to the planet.
Droid said and pointed at a nearby shuttle. Without further info, Droid walked away. Rick stepped in the shuttle. It was on autopilot and rose up as soon as Rick sat down. Rick watched the hangar as he flew out and station got smaller and smaller behind him.
Entering Kobo.
Rick heard the speaker say. Ship flew to the fog surrounding the surface and landed in an Imperial hangar. Rick walked out of the ship and was greeted by a fellow Imperial officer along with few stormtroopers.
Greetings.
Rick said.
What is your position?
Officer said and looked at Rick from head to toe.
New outfit?
Rick answered but was cut short.
Why are you wearing that ridiculous suit? Don't you know imitating an Imperial officer is punishable?
Officer said.
I'm sorry, sir. I will take it off.
Well, do it elsewhere. We don't want to see you run around naked.
Officer said and the stormtroopers laughed a little.
Yes, sir.
Rick replied.
What is your position?
Officer asked again.
I applied from the Imperial Academy. Here are my papers.
Rick said and pulled a paper out of his pocket.
I don't care.
Officer said. Rick placed the papers back in his pocket.
I was ordered to become a new officer in Imperial Post 855.
Officer, we have. Man, you're more than willing to toss their arms aside and become officers.
So there was supposed to be a raider problem I was supposed to help with.
And you want these men to follow you to death. Rookie, let me see those papers again.
Rick took the papers out of his pocket.
Engineering. Are you good with equipment? Vehicles?
Officer asked.
Yes, I was best of my class.
Rick replied and put a smug grin on his face.
Excellent. You will be the new commander outdoors. Or maybe that's a bit my position at first. Let's say you will be Master Door Technician.
Officer said and faced a stormtrooper next to him.
What do you think?
Officer asked. I like it. Stormtrooper said.
Yes. You always do. But it doesn't have a good ring to it. How about with the Door Technician?
Yes, it is good.
Stormtrooper said.
Very well. Go, Rick. Go and command your doors. And take an extra scout armor from the army while you're doing it. We don't want the Door Technician to get mixed with us regular officers.
Officer said and walked away. Rick swallowed his pride. He walked to the armory, got an extra scout armor and put it on. Rick then went to check doors near him. He had a bad job, but he thought he might as well do it well. Rick fixed doors for hours. They almost seemed as if they had never been repaired before. His focus got lost due to a blood-gurgling scream down the hall. Rick ignored it and continued fixing the doors. Rick heard a message from another trooper down the hall in his helmet.
Just something over them. He's no human. He's a killing machine.
Rick took a weapon from a bracket on the wall and stared down the hall. There it was. A person, an evil incarnate, slaughtering Rick's companions outside his hallway with a bright sword-like weapon. Rick could have ran. He could have jammed his door and hid, but that wasn't Rick. He was a warrior till the end. If he was not there to defend his men, his family, his honor from this pure evil, then who was? Rick gripped his baton harder. He thought up a war cry to be remembered by, and as the murderer entered the hallway he charged at him with all his might.